Solutions, a freelance IT solution for the Kansas City area, providing IT support, computer repair, and custom-built computers to meet any need. In this video, we'll explore the false concept that you need an expensive CPU in order to enjoy PC gaming at its finest. The Ryzen 3500X was released in 2019 with 6 cores and 6 threads. It was OEM part originally, meaning you couldn't just go to Micro Center and buy one. You can find them easily on the used market. Is it enough for today's games and for streaming at the same time? Well, for around $50 on eBay, we're going to find out. The 3500X can easily power a graphics card as recent as the 9060 XT, which you can pick up for around $400 these days. I paid $370 when it was released, not including tax, of course. In the upper left-hand corner of the display with these games, you will see the current FPS as well as the CPU and GPU utilization. I'm also screen recording, so you'll see less frames than you would if you were playing without streaming or recording. This is to see if the CPU can handle gaming as well as streaming. The only issue I had was that I needed to increase OBS's CPU priority for smooth video recording. Let's get into it. First up, we have a slightly older game that I still enjoy, Armored Core 6. This is a boss fight that gets pretty intense. As you can tell by the FPS will dip down to the lowest 40 and reach as high as 80. The average lies somewhere in between 60 and 70, making it a perfectly playable game. This is at maximum settings at 1440p. All games in this video are tested at 1440p. And you'll see I'm a little rusty at this game, which is why I almost lost the match. I hadn't realized I switched over to Tank Trench 4 durability, but I am glad I did. You'll see in the upper left hand corner that the and CPU are pegged near 100% each, seeing that the GPU and the CPU are working perfectly together, and the CPU is able to feed all the frame information to the GPU in time to get the maximum amount of frame rate from this video card. Next up is Crimson Desert. On ultra settings, this game runs pretty smooth, around 50 to 60 FPS at 1440 using balanced FSR 1, just roaming around the open world. When things get hectic, however, it can drop down to the 30s. In this clip, we're seeing a fight between a boss, something that both stresses out the GPU and CPU. I'm using frame generation, which means when frames drop to their lowest, 38 in this case. That means the real frame rate and response time is actually from a base of 19 frames per second. While playing, I did not notice a substantial drop that made it harder to enjoy the game. With frame generation and roaming the open world, I constantly saw a smooth 100 to 120 frames per second. I would not recommend using ray regeneration, as that will cut your FPS in half. Also in this game, you'll notice that both the GPU and CPU are both being fed at 100%, or pretty darn close to it. Now we're trying out Doom: The Dark Ages. We're still at 1440p, very high settings, and averaging a little over 60 FPS, which is exactly where you want to be. The lowest I saw of the dip was 54 FPS. This is without upscaling. You notice on the right how the game is heavily GPU bottlenecked, and not limited by the CPU. That means we might get better performance from a 9070 or even a 9070 XT. A very well optimized game with very smooth gameplay. I'm just not very good at it. If you continue to look at the stats in the upper right hand corner, you'll see that the red marks at the very top right, will show you where the GPU is lagging behind where the CPU is. And the very top right, you'll see the FPS, not the average, but the current. One of my favorite games to revisit is Witchfire. It's a blend of first-person perspective with roguelite elements, making each run unique. Witchfire is an enjoyable game, and here we're playing at ultra settings at 1440p with an average over 90 FPS, except when you're looking down sights, as that drops the FPS to around the mid to lower 80s. This is done without upscaling. The gameplay is smooth, fluid, and very enjoyable. It really reminds me of a supernatural version of Destiny 2, with similar gunplay. Monster Hunter Wilds has had performance issues from the very day it launched. This title has received a lot of updates and performance has improved greatly. Let the game run for about 20 minutes to cache the shaders, as that it does in the background while you play to get the actual FPS numbers. As you can see, the average is around 50 FPS, which isn't great, but still playable. To reach this, I had to drop FSR from quality to balance at 1440, which only gained up to 5 more frames. This is with high settings, so dropping them may or may not help very much due to both the CPU and GPU being maxed out at these current settings. I did not attempt frame generation on this title, but that may be an option for many people, as it will give them more than playable frame rates and smooth motion.
Are you talking about gem chime stones? Gem chime stones? What a lovely name. Why do you call them that?
Once we reach the village, you'll see.
Wow, look at that. There's so many of them. Let's get closer.
Carefully.
Oh, hold on. There's a Taliox over there.
Yeah, we don't want to get too close.
He's so scary.
This clip is from my first time with the game Pragmata. I was amazed at how well this game ran on this system. It's a solid 70 FPS at 1440 ultra settings without frame generation, and this is with ray tracing turned on. It gets a little hectic trying to both hack the robots as well as dodging and shooting, but there was never a moment where a sudden frame drop ruined the action or got me killed. My lack of skill is enough for that. Again, the CPU and GPU usage is high, meaning that this CPU is decent enough to use the full capabilities of this card.
Backup generators online. To restore full functionality, please reboot the main power terminal on the top floor.
The top floor, huh? How many floors are there anyway?
I'll let Witchfire run in the background while I go over the conclusions. And in closing, I want to stress that while the 3500X is great for budget builds, if you could stretch it an extra $20 to $30, you can get the 3600X that has double the threads and will make recording and streaming as well as running applications such as Discord in the background a much better experience. The more money you save on the CPU, the more money you can spend on the GPU. And that's important as the GPU is the primary component that determines how well your overall gaming experience is going to be. For general office work, you're never going to run into an issue. Anything like 3D rendering is usually handled by the GPU. But you may want to research the recommended CPU requirements for the application you have in mind. That's all I have for you today. If you're in the Kansas City area in need of computer repair or a custom rig, remember to call on Brenner Technology Solutions.